All right, welcome back to On the Ball, the podcast from the Vanderbilt Sports and Society Initiative. I'm Andrew Maraniss, and I'm really excited to have May-Bradley and Erin Ryder on our show today to talk about Playmakers, the nonprofit that they started here recently to support women working in sports in Nashville. And it's off to a great start. I keep seeing stories about it. I know you've had so many events, even just since National Girls, Women in Sports Day. Off to a great start, and so happy to have you here. Thank you, Erin and Emma, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having
Awesome.
me.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
All right, so just to give people a quick background on each of you, Emma has spent 20 plus years in sports and media. You hear about the biggest brands in sports. You've been involved with Nike, Red Bull, the NBA, with teams, Washington Spirit. I know you got started here at Athlon in Nashville, and now you're the chief marketing officer for Rebel Girls, which I want to learn more about. Longtime Nashvilleian. Emma, thanks for coming on the show. Erin, I think you're a little newer to Nashville, but you have jumped right in this community. I know you're teaching in the sports management program at Belmont. You've worked on the entertainment and media side with ESPN, the NBC Olympic coverage. Started your own film production company, entrepreneur in other ways with a Away team, and both of you came together to found Playmakers. So when I think about that, it seems to me that there must be a critical mass of women working in sports for an organization like this for Nashville to be a bright market for it. But then there must also be a need for connection and opportunity. So, like, when you were thinking about this idea, what all went into it in terms of, yes, this is a good city, and yes, there's a need for this? Start with you, Erin.
You hit the nail on the head. Those two things were so front of mind for us. So when I moved here, 4 years ago, and I was looking for this type of a community and asking questions and meeting people, I realized there wasn't an organization truly supporting women who work in sports, and so it was something I personally needed. And so when I met Emma and I realized she too, felt the need and the want, we started asking questions and we started meeting all of these amazing women. And when they validated that, yes, they also could use something like this, that was what put it all together. It was our own personal need, and then meeting all of these amazing women and realizing that a lot of them saw the need as well. And we put our heads down, starting January of 2025 to figure out what could this look like? What could it feel like? And that's really when we started bringing Playmakers Nashville to life.
All right. And Emma, clearly, I mean, you've had so many different powerful experiences and opportunities in sports. You've got another job. Like, why was this something that you wanted to do at this point in your career?
You know, it, I wanted to give back to Nashville, right? I wanted to give back to a place that where I grew up. I grew up going to Vanderbilt women's basketball games in the late 80s and the 90s, and I fell in love with sports. I fell in love with women's sports, and Nashville for a very long time has been a sports city. And in coming back as an adult and as a sports executive, it's only growing, right? The sports industry here is uh, just honestly, it's starting to rival some of the biggest cities in the world in terms of industry. And so it was important to give back. It was important for there to be a philanthropic approach to elevating women and young girls. And ensuring that they have access, they understand what the sports industry is. Because, very honestly, I got here not because I knew about it or someone welcomed me into the industry. I truly stumbled into into this world, which feels very silly. And so there's no need for folks to stumble in, and we wanted to make sure that we can invite women in.
Mhm. All right. So thinking about the connection and the opportunities in your own careers as you're coming up within sports, were there experienced women in the organizations that you joined that in addition to, having to prove themselves and do their own work, helped lift you up? Were there cases where there were men that served as mentors? Like, who did you learn from and develop with along the way? Erin?
Yeah, for me, I had a lot of incredible male mentors. I've never had a female mentor. And I think that really helped shape me because for a long time, I was trying to work in sports, emulating these men. And I was negating some of my superpowers as being a woman, which is my vulnerability, my empathy. And so for me, not having a leader, a female leader, show me how to do that and having to figure it out on my own through a lot of trial and error, I think the path was a little harder for me. And I did see women at higher levels. It wasn't that I didn't see myself and couldn't see myself getting there. I just didn't have the tools. And I didn't even know the questions to ask. And so for me, Playmakers is our way to give back and to help women make it a little bit easier to give them the opportunity to have those mentorship opportunities, to have other women who are in roles that they can see themselves in, to introduce them to different opportunities. I didn't even understand the breadth of the sports industry, when I was coming through. I had an incredible professor and had great direction in academia that helped me understand what was possible. But even then, it was a very narrow lens. And so to be able to give women the breadth of the sports industry so they understand what's out there and then have them meet and work with amazing women who have done it before them to help them understand what it takes, ask for advice, ask for different ways in which they could be moving directionally. I think that's really exciting for us.
Mhm. Was a similar experience for you, Emma? Were there women? Were there men? Did you understand the breadth of the industry as you were entering it?
Yeah, oh, well, certainly I did not. No, I definitely didn't. And yes, I mean, I've had some amazing leaders in my life, and I've had some amazing women leaders. My one of my bosses at Turner Sports was a woman. Her name is Valerie MLA. She's at the NFL now, and Val was a remarkable leader who could not have been more different than me. And I learned so much from watching her move, um, and how learning how she sat and listened and how she approached things. She's a very strategic leader. And so I learned a lot about strategy from Val. And I had one of the best, honestly, one of the best leaders in the world. A woman named Adrienne Lofton was my boss at Nike for some time, and she now leads product marketing at Google. And Adrienne truly could write the book on how to show up as a woman and how to support women, and how to lead with empathy and lead with vulnerability and also provide results, right? And so I've seen remarkable women do work. Now, what I haven't done, unfortunately, is taken advantage of true mentorship. And that's because I really didn't know how. I wasn't exactly sure what to do or how that would help me. And I also think I'm as stubborn as a mule, right? And I very much was like, well, I'm just going to figure this out myself. And, and for why, right? Like I can't give a good reason as to, other than truly I am stubborn as a mule. Um, and so I say this to say, I wish someone had taught me how to ask for somebody to mentor me, how important that could be in my life. And so we're really excited at Playmakers to be able to encourage both younger folks who are in need of a mentor, and then also encourage people a bit more senior in their career to give back. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, leads to my next question. I was going to ask, okay, so someone's heard about Playmakers, like who is it for, and what should they expect to participate in, or like what do they get out of a membership? Erin?
It's a great question. Playmakers Nashville is for everyone. That's our hope. That's why we built it. We built it to reach women at every stage of their career. For right now, our cohorts are for college age women up to women in C-suite level executive jobs. And for us, that meant being able to deliver on something that wasn't one size fits all. We can meet women where they are. And so the needs of a woman in college is very different than the needs of a woman that's had 10 plus 20 years in sports, right? And so for us, we had to be really intentional about that. And how do we figure out programming that works for college age women, as well as programming that works for women that, are in the middle of their career, for women that are later in their career. But that was important to us. That was really important to us. So Playmakers is for everyone. I would say the member benefits, vary for how you join, but we hope women in college join us at our starter level. That's for undergraduate and graduate aged women that are out of school, that want to, join a community where they can get belonging, personal and professional development, mentorship, like we mentioned, as well as scholarships. We launched with 5 scholarships that we're incredibly proud of. And then for that middle tier women, we call those our captains. That's if you've just gotten out of college and having about 9 years in. And that's $149 to join, which we've subsidized for college age women. It's free. And then our top cohort is for champions that we say is 10 plus years within the industry. That's for C-suite level, executive level women. That's $249 to join. And that'll be our top value for delivering, real, because that's the level Emma and I are in to really figure out how to help them strengthen, what they want to, be doing now that they've, kind of leveled up in their career. So, Emma, what did I miss?
No, I mean, I think that you nailed it. The member benefits really kind of come into play when we think about our pillars. And so we're offering scholarships, which is really important. We launched 5 scholarships in our first year, 4 for undergraduate and 1 for graduate level students. And these are for young women in Middle Tennessee who are interested in studying in the sports industry. And we're very, very excited about that. Things like a mentorship program. We're going to do philanthropy work. We're hosting socials where women can just come and have fun. We also are really diving into growth with personal and professional development. So on-site and online learning, both for, will make you better at your job and hopefully like make you a better human as well. And so we feel like the member benefits are quite robust we believe that there's a very good value for what we're providing, and we're really proud of that.
Maybe someone who's earlier in their career or is in college or watching this, even in another city, not too familiar with the Nashville sports scene. Like, how would you describe the range of different types of jobs that there are for women in sports in Nashville? It's more than just working for a team. Like, what do you see in the landscape here in Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, so when we think about the sports industry, and I think a lot of people think like, I want to work in sports. Well, sports is an industry, but it's not a function, right? And so within sports, there are numerous functions. So, for example, do you want to be a lawyer in sports? Do you want to be an accountant in sports? Do you want to be in marketing in sports? Do you want to be in strategy in sports? We can go on, right? And so almost every organization that touches the sports industry will have a little bit of all of this. So, for example, Erin's a teacher, right? Erin teaches at Belmont and in sports administration. We've got agencies in Nashville. You've got CAA Sports based here, right? This is athlete and brand representation at the very highest level. Of course, you have your teams, and you've got teams all the way from minor level teams, all the way up to the pros. College universities employ hundreds and thousands of people in the sports business. You've got folks like coaches and development, chefs who work for athletes and who are, you name it. Like the sports industry is absolutely so broad. Unions, production companies, media, we can go on. However, what I will tell you, Andrew, is that one of our first tools that we've made available to our members is just this. We have broken down the sports industry from function and also to kind of organizational opportunity. So we can have people, Playmakers members have access to be able to say, okay, I'm really interested in one of these things. Oh, I'm really interested in one of these things. And we have a matrix that can say, all right, here are the types of companies that you should be looking at. And that's something that we're really, really proud of. That was built by our personal and professional development committee. So yeah.
Oh, that's terrific. All right. So thinking about the history of women's athletics in Nashville, like for me, it would go back to the Tiger Bells, pretty much, and putting Nashville on the map in that regard. I know Nashville Business College was the best amateur women's basketball team in the 50s and 60s. Now you've got Candace Lee leading the athletic department here at Vandy. I know Betty Wiseman was getting basketball started at Belmont, from ahead of anybody else in the state. When you look at just the state of women's sports in Nashville now, like what's lacking? Is it a pro sports franchise? What do we need to be like a really truly elite city for women in sports?
Yeah, Andrew, you really laid the groundwork right there, right? We have been a wonderful state and city for women's sports going way back, right? Collegiately, we've had incredible fandom around women's sports, and we've had incredible leaders building within women's sports. Tennessee is a women's basketball state, right? Pat Summit made sure of that. And then what the work of Belmont Betty Wiseman and Candace Story Leak has continued that. And so that's really laid an incredible foundation for women's sports and the fans that love women's sports. And I think the next level is already happening, right? We've got Athletes Unlimited playing professional women's basketball here for their second year right now. And that's a testament to that foundation, that history of sports that's been building here in Nashville. We have incredible WNBA bids that have been out there for the summit, right? And it's not if, but when we get a professional WNBA team here. Other franchises like an NWSL professional women's soccer team have been put out there to get us an expansion team here as well. But we're thinking about other professional basketball leagues. We're thinking about professional women's golf. And for us, the sky's the limit. We'd love to get NCAA Final Four back here for the women's basketball, other tournaments, other leagues, because for us, we feel like the fandom is there. We can sell tickets. The women's national team comes here to play the She Believes Cup at Geodis, and really they've been building year after year. That audience has been growing and getting bigger, and so we think there's a hunger for women's sports that hasn't been satiated yet, and we're so thrilled that we now have a sports ecosystem that can support that.
As we record this interview, one of the top stories in sports politics right now is the success of the women's hockey team at the Olympics. A joke, if you can call it that, was made, following the men's gold medal. The women deciding, not to go to a place that they didn't feel they were really welcome and going to the White House. Flavor Flav hosting a party in Las Vegas for the team and for all the female Olympians from the Olympics. Like when you think about this type of story that shows sort of the dismissal of women's sports on one hand, but then kind of the marketing opportunity that comes with it, and you see all these companies coming on board to support the party in Vegas. Like, what does all of this say about like where women's sports is in this country right now? I'll start with you, Emma.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important piece here is that people, women, men, everybody feel safe, right? And that they go places and celebrate in ways that make sense to them. And for what we're seeing, it makes sense, right? This amazing USA women's hockey team is going out to Vegas and partying with Flavor Flav, right? I love that for them. Clearly, that's what makes sense. I think what happened in the locker room is tough. I also heard a great interview with Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird about that this morning, actually. And, Megan was saying, look, I've been in locker rooms. Locker rooms are crazy, right? Like you don't know who's going to come in. You don't know what's going on. People get carried away. And she was like, listen, what I'm not going to do is, kind of condone what happened, but what I will do is say, like, oftentimes you lack control in your circumstances. And so what I think the most important piece of here is that people are taking control of how they move. And look, brands taking the opportunity where it exists is brilliant. Women's sports, I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a little bit of a soapbox here. Women's sports fans are the most loyal brand fans that you will ever get. When studies are absolutely clear, brands that invest in women's sports see remarkable returns. I have an Ally Bank account because of them. I bought nationwide insurance because of their investment in the NWSL, truly, right? And so brands see that and they see that return and they want to get involved. And I think that that's really important. Um, and that's only going to continue to get my hope is um, to get more notoriety. But Erin, I would love
Mhm.
to hear what you've got to say on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think for us, what you see when you see allies like Flava Flav step up is so important because that's what we need, right? We as women, we are going to shout from the rooftops that women's sports is wonderful, but until the media coverage and the broadcast coverage is all there, it's really difficult to do on our own. And so to have incredible allies step up with their wallets and with their networks is so important, right? Because then you see his call to action equals a ton of brands saying, we want the opportunity as well. And so, we launched on National Women and Girls in Sports Day on February 4th because we know how important that day is to our community, but so did he. And so he dropped She Got Game on that same day with Flage. And so he's doing so many incredible things and bringing so many women's sports and athletes along the way. And so if more allies did that, if more brands did that, right, put their money where it is and actually paid the athletes and supported the athletes and did that, we'd all live in a much better place. And so I just call for more of that. And thank you to Flava Flav.
There was also a story that came out this week, I think, that ESPN, which no longer has maybe its deal with Major League Baseball, is going to have a women's sports focus on Sundays. Um, at the panel that you spoke at, Emma, on National Women and Girls Sports Day, you mentioned that maybe the marketing dollars are still lagging, even though there's this perception that this is like the moment for women's sports, that's not necessarily true in all ways. So when you guys look at TV coverage and marketing spends, like where are things right now? Start with you, Emma.
Things are on the up, right? Is what we would say. Like the momentum is there. The trajectory is positive. What ESPN is doing for Women's Sports Sundays, I think it's great, right? We are thrilled that ESPN is going to dedicate so much time to women's sports and do it in a way that really matters. My hope is that advertisers come on board and absolutely put their money where their mouth is, and uh, we see the risk of making that investment that ESPN is taking, and then it quickly gets rewarded. And so that's the type of ecosystem that we're wanting to see. But Andrew, to your point, the media ecosystem is the most important piece of the women's sports industry continuing to grow. We need people to put eyes on these amazing women athletes. We need people to hear about them on their sports radio, on their podcast feeds. We need articles to be in The Athletic and to be on ESPN.com and to be on Yahoo Sports and to be on CBS News about women's sports. When you see women play, you love the game. The reason you love the game is because they're phenomenal, right? Just like the guys, right? It's entertainment. It's remarkable. I just came from the Vanderbilt lacrosse game. They were leading 11-2 at halftime. Those young women were putting on a show. And so you put your eyes on it, you're going to love it. I know that Erin has got a strong perspective on this as well.
100%. I think we can look at the Olympics and what just happened and see coverage is getting better, right? There's a great parity that has been righted with women athletes and teams and getting more women there. But what you're seeing is it's a lot of independent women's sports coverage that is doing the majority of the lift, right? And without just women's sports and the gist and Caroline Fitzgerald with the goals and Sarah Spain with her pod and these other pods kind of coming up, right? We wouldn't still see those stories being told at the volume they're being told and should be told. And so, ESPN, thank you. We are so excited for Women's Sports Sundays. They will launch June 21st, and they will have 9 weeks to really tee up how that's going to look for us for this summer. And so, my hope is that, and there's a presenting sponsorship open for that. So I hope brands come in really strong to take advantage of that. And I hope people watch. And I hope people keep demanding that we get primetime coverage for these amazing women, because the sport has always been elite, right? It's just getting the right eyes in the right time slots.
As the money like comes into women's sports, I'm thinking back to late 1970s when administration of women's sports switched from AIAW to NCAA. And at that time, it's a lot less money, but it was coming into women's sports at some level, and there were a lot of coaches and women's athletic directors, as they would be called at the time, that kind of recognized this isn't necessarily going to be all good news. Like as the money comes in, you actually saw fewer women working in sports. They lost those jobs as women's AD, or men started coaching in women's sports when they hadn't been doing that before. So like I imagine a group like Playmakers kind of helps answer this question, but how do you make sure that as women's sports continues to grow and that the sponsorships, the TV coverage starts to roll in, that women have a seat at the table, and not just a seat at the table, but like leadership positions, where it could be a case where the same men who are running things now, continue to do it, even though they're covering women's sports. What are the opportunities, and how do you make sure women have these opportunities in a changing landscape that presumably should be better for women?
I mean, I think the most important thing is that you've got talented individuals who want to be in these spaces. And for example, coaching, right? There is a severe shortage of women coaching at a collegiate level, at a professional level. And we're talking about women and men's sports, right? Um,
Right.
and so you have to ask yourself why, right? Why is that? Well, a lot of coaches, you have to come up, you have to grind, and a lot of these women, right, are having to care for their families, are having to, and so the industry has not been welcoming in many ways to allow women to be successful. That's not okay, right? We have got to change in order to ensure that women can be welcomed at all levels, at all professions within the industry. At the end of the day, we want the best folks in the role. That being said, the pipeline has got to include um an equal amount of women as men, right? Same thing for diversity across ethnicity, same thing for we just if the pipeline isn't there, then you're not going to get the results that you need. And so one of the things that Playmakers is really focused on is opening up the aperture for young women kind of coming out of high school into college, to ensure that they understand what could be for them, because the adage is true, right? If you can't see it, you can't be it, and that's just true. Um, so there's a lot of work to do, but no, I mean, no better time than now.
Yeah. As we sort of wrap this up, one of the things you hear about a lot is the value of participating in sports, and how many women in leadership positions across all industries have some background in playing sports. Is that a focus of Playmakers at all, or how do you, um, little girls even who maybe not in like a ready to join Playmakers as a college student, what type of community relationships do you expect will develop out of Playmakers to support girls just getting involved in on the field? Erin?
Absolutely. That is a huge priority for us. We know that women athletes become incredible leaders. We've seen it across the board, and the stats prove it. And so, for us, having one of our founding partners be Rebel Girls, having that be someone that young woman empowerment, being something that we support, that we help bring to the forefront, so people know that, so people know how to support them in the work that they're doing with young women, as well as organizations like Play Like a Girl, Creative Girls Rock here locally. We find that there are organizations at the school level, right? We're working with MNPS and Pencil and other organizations to figure out ways in which we could support that philanthropy, right? That we can make sure that we're giving back, that are in our system, that we find ways to support those organizations, because they're finding ways to support us and our women, right? And that is a backbone. We would love to continue hiring women former athletes, help them with their development, personally and professionally. But for that, we need those programs to get our support. So it is first and for front of mind for us.
Okay, Nema, I promised at the beginning I'd let you explain about Rebel Girls, but since Erin mentioned it, what is Rebel Girls?
Oh, that's awesome. Rebel Girls is a global girl empowerment brand with one simple goal, which is to help inspire the most confident generation of girls ever. We have the belief that confident girls can radically transform the world. And Rebel Girls has been doing that for 10 years now through uh, being storytellers. And we're talking about books. Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. We're talking about a weekly sports show that we do on YouTube that's hosted by Pepper Persley. We tell the stories of the most amazing women in the world with the goal of inspiring young girls so they can keep their confidence. And confidence is one of the biggest factors um, that we see that leads to young women doing well in school, staying in sports, progressing in their lives in a way that's meaningful and intentional. And so for us, confidence is key, and that's what we really focus on at Rebel Girls. So thanks for asking. You can check us out on YouTube and Instagram and all of the things.
Oh, that's awesome. And I didn't do this on purpose, but since I'm going to do a plug of my own here. So I have a book coming out next week that has a young girl on the cover. This is a series I've done with Scholastic called Sports Zone, and each book is about 9-year-old kids trying out a different sport for the first time. So this is our character Ruby, who's kicking the soccer ball there. So excited to get that in the hands of kids. All right. So if someone is watching or listening to this and they would like to get involved with Playmakers, either as a member at the college level or the early professional or seasoned professional level, or they're a business in town or a sports team that wants to support the effort or host an event, like what's the easiest way for them to get involved?
Oh, such a great question. And thank you for asking and thank you for having us. Reach out to us. Our website has a million ways to find us, from a partnership page, our donation page to help us with our fundraising, our contact page to reach out to myself and Emma directly. But we're always looking for, first and foremost, members. We would love for you to join us, become a playmaker, come to an event, say hi. If you don't know if this is right for you, come meet us somewhere. We have a lot of events that are open to the public where you can just learn more. So first, come visit us, come see us, come say hi, meet our team, really get your questions answered. If you're a partner, we would love to figure out our ways to support you. If you're value aligned, mission aligned, you are the right fit for us. Like, come say hi. There's so many different ways in which we are working with our impact and community partners every single day. And then fundraising. We can't say enough about how big even the smallest donation is for us. We are a program heavy organization, and every dollar counts, and every dollar can help us build in the community the ways that we want. And so there's no shortage of ways you can support us. You can volunteer, you can join a committee. We're always looking for incredible board members. So really, if there's a way that you want to help, we'll say, come meet us, and we'll figure out how to direct that.
All right. Well, speaking of your board, I was looking at the site. You not only have a great board of directors, you've got an advisory board also, and just a really impressive group of women from sports, but outside of sports even. Emma, you must have had a really strong sense of intentionality and care in putting these groups together to launch an organization. And what a impressive group you have supporting you.
Oh my goodness. We are humbled, to be very honest, with the amazing folks that we get to work with, both on our board of directors, our advisory board, and our honorary board. We wanted to make sure that we were honoring the work that had been put in Nashville for so many years to build the sports industry, not just the women's sports industry, the sports industry. What Candace Story Lee has done here is, nothing short of amazing. Monica Falknotson at the authority, Margaret Bem, you name it. And then the advisory board, we've got the Dean of Joy, Jill Stratton from Vanderbilt University on
That's
our
right.
advisory board, and Lauren Bellal from the athletics department on our board of directors. And so we absolutely are humbled to have the board that we have. And I mean, they're our backbone. They're our backbone.
Well, Emma, Erin, thank you so much for joining the show. Just as a Nashvilleian, thank you for starting this organization here. It's going to make the city better. And as a dad of a high school freshman daughter who's interested in working in sports, I can't wait for her to join when the time is right. So really appreciate it. Keep up the great work.
Oh,
Awesome.
Andrew, that
Thank you
means the
so
world
much,
to us.
Andrew.
Thank you, thank you. And yes, please introduce us to your daughter. We'd love to figure out how to support her and her goals.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.